Think I'm gonna need this after the Underwater Menace reconstruction. Good old Power of the Daleks. Yes, hello and welcome. Good day, everybody. Just gonna experience Power of the Daleks for I don't know how many times I have watched and listened to Power of the Daleks. And yeah, for this video, I'm not listening to the audio because I'm gonna watch the reconstruction. Because ages ago, I converted all the parts of Power of the Daleks onto Windows Live Movie Maker, so I can watch it that way. As YouTube, they remove a couple of the parts, which still it's a pain. And Daily Motion, it lags for me. It does when I want to watch stuff. So yeah, good that I did download and convert Power of the Daleks to Windows Live Movie Maker, so I can watch the entire thing at once. So that's definitely great. Yeah, if you didn't know, Power of the Daleks is one of my very favourite Doctor Who stories. It's the one I want to most see recovered for a number of reasons, and I can't wait to experience it for again. I don't know how many times I've again experienced this story. And yeah, this video will be in the same format as the Underwater Menace video, as a lot of people really like that format. And yes, that is the new format for classic reviews. This has been going down very well, so thanks everyone who appreciated that format. And yeah, it's gonna be like that in 2016. So then, let's begin my review of Power of the Daleks. Well, what can I say about Power of the Daleks? Number 1. The best Dalek story of all time. Number 2. Some of the most well done and fantastic and interesting supporting characters in a Doctor Who story. 3rd. Some of the best Doctor Who cliffhangers in history of the show. And 4, it is without a doubt one of the best Doctor Who stories in the show's run. And we don't even have it in the BBC archives. Not a single part of this wonderful story. And it truly upsets me that we don't have this one. This is up right to the top of my list. It's a wonderful Troughton story. And again, missing episodes, it makes me sick that they're even a thing for all stories, if they're good or bad. Space Pirates, Macra Terror, Evil the Daleks, Daleks Master Plan for great ones, and then the ones I said before, bad stories. It doesn't matter. It's a shame and truly disgusting to wipe some of these stories. And some of it was some of the best black and white TV ever produced. And Power of the Daleks is one of them. Now, as you know, Power of the Daleks is the first story to feature Patrick Troughton as the Doctor, and he had such a hard time with this, as he was taking the role as the Doctor from the original William Hartnell, who had health problems, health deterioration, which was very bad, and it ended with the 10th planet with a new thing called regeneration. And it was very controversial what was going to happen, because of course the audience loved William Hartnell playing as the first Doctor. And now a completely different actor is going to be playing the role as the Doctor. And he had so much pressure, Patrick Troughton did. But he is such a sensational actor. He pulled it off. And he did sensational. Doctor Who might not continued after that. But he pulled it off. It was also a good thing to have the Daleks in this episode. A very well-known monster from the 60s. So that was a good choice. Again, this is another story that showcases why Patrick Troughton is my favourite actor of all time. Had so much pressure, but yet he still pulled it off and did fantastic. Some of the acting in here is sensational from Patrick Troughton, and I can tell he was a bit nervous within this story, but he pulled it off. He didn't give up. Yeah, Power of the Daleks is a very strong favourite of mine for quite a few number of reasons. Number 1, that Troughton, how he pulls it off as the Doctor for his first story is magnificent, but one of the main reasons is what is done with the Daleks. It is beyond incredible, which literally for me outshines all other Dalek stories, how they are portrayed in this episode. This is why I prefer it over other popular 60s Dalek stories, or Dalek stories like Master Plan, Evil the Daleks, Genesis and all like that. The Daleks don't get shadowed by anyone. Daleks Master Plan, they were overshadowed by Marvick Chen, but here they can really show their full potential of how incredible these monsters are and why the Daleks are such a powerful threat, and it shows it in this story. The Daleks, how they take over Vulcan is incredible. Really well done and executed. The Daleks do their plan very slowly, with Lesterson first being interested about the Daleks with their capture. But as the Daleks get what they want, they start out to be very deceitful, sly, cunning and very manipulative, especially to Lesterson, who is devoted to science and wants to resurrect and give power for the Daleks to be something as an advantage to Vulcan and its colony. As I said, the Daleks are very deceitful and sly and manipulative, and when the story progresses, I can call the Daleks creepy, how well they're portrayed. So they start out like that, deceitful, then when it progresses you can see when power is building up for them, then they get very mocking and taunting because their numbers are growing. They start to mock and taunt Lesterson and the other characters. You can see they are slowly taking over the colony, and then they do their ultimate move at the end. How the Daleks are portrayed, the build up with them, and the tension is superb and works 100%. This showcases that the Daleks are wonderful and fantastic and nothing to underestimate. The Daleks are wonderful in this episode. Yeah, that's one of my reasons and my strongest reason of why Power of the Daleks is one of the most best episodes and the best Dalek story, is how they are portrayed. It really does outshine other Dalek stories in my opinion, how well they're done here. Now, Power of the Daleks is a 6-parter and I can watch it all in one go on reconstruction. It's such a superb story like that. Part 1 does have a lot of surviving clips, which is fantastic. That's brilliant, especially in the first 8 minutes when the Doctor's getting used to his regeneration. That's absolutely brilliant. Still, it's a shame that all the parts, they don't exist in their entirety. But I love the first 8 minutes of the story with the second Doctor getting used to his regeneration and getting a useful regeneration for the first time. It's absolutely wonderful. And this sort of showcases what one of the sides of the second Doctor's personality is going to be like. Very clownish and jumpy around. The first like 8 minutes of part 1 is just them in the TARDIS with the Doctor getting used to his regeneration. And it's nice that we have quite a lot of parts. There's like existing surviving clips. So, like, there's been quite a few of them, like 4 in the sequence of the 8 minutes within in the TARDIS. So that's good. He's going to put in the recorder in a minute. This Power of the Daleks in episode 1 really is going to show what the second Doctor's personality is going to be like very clowny and jumpy around. Plays the recorder a lot in this episode. However, a lot of people do complain with the first 3 stories he's not very serious, but believe me, in Power, he is. I don't say why people think that actually, because he is quite serious in Underwater Menace at times, but Power, he really is when they're on the subject of Daleks slowly taking over Vulcan. He gets very serious and starts shouting a little bit, especially to Lesterson, who is apparently hiding another Dalek. Yeah, as I said in my Underwater Menace review, I said that like the first 3 stories, a lot of people find him just clowning around a lot, but Power of the Daleks, when I've watched it countless times on Recon, he is serious in a lot of places in Power of the Daleks. And at the first parts of the episode, Ben is very indignant to the Doctor. They have a little bit of animosity at the beginning with part 1 and part 2 of the story. They have a little bit of a go with each other. Part 1 has a fantastic build-up. Not with the Daleks right now, they get into it a little bit later in part 1. But they do introduce fairly quickly, they do the Daleks, but the build up to them gradually just starts with episode 2. It builds up a nice plot around the Examiner, who the original Examiner was murdered by an unknown person, and the Doctor's pretending to be the Examiner to get into the Vulcan's colony. And I like that part of the story. It reminds me of the Doctor, the first Doctor from the Mythmakers, pretending to be Zeus. That's very fun moments by there. And some superb lines from Troughton. He's very fun in this one, Troughton. Ben's very indignant to the Doctor at the first, part 1 and part 2. Very indignant. Gets very annoyed at the Doctor. Oh, we have some brilliant characters in this. Hensel's one of the characters, Mr. Chin, who played in The Claws of Axos. Oh, Bragan. That's Bernard Archard, that is, who played a character, I forgot his name, it's really bad, in The Pyramids of Mars, the side villain.
I'm entitled to know why you've come to Vulcan. What is your brief? I am the Examiner. Why are you here? To examine.
To examine.
And I intend to stop that.
Yeah, I like the Examine plot, as it's not really a spoiler, but the original Examiner was killed by an unknown person, and the Doctor is playing the Examiner, pretending, similar to the Mythmakers, where the Doctor is pretending to be Zeus. It's a very nice storyline. And it does expand a little bit more in part 4. And we have some nice supporting characters entering the frame of the story, with Hensel, who is the governor of Vulcan. He's a superb character. Bragan, who is played by Bernard Archard, who appeared in The Pyramids of Mars playing a side villain in that, which is pretty incredible. He's a magnificent actor, he is. Also we have Lesterson, who is my favourite supporting character in this story. What happens with his character when he progresses and what direction he goes, especially to episode 5, he is a magnificent character. Absolutely wonderful, really steals the show with Troughton. Absolutely magnificent actor from Robert James. He is a brilliant actor. And he's appeared in a lot of stuff like The Avengers and Blake 7 and all like that. He's superb. Quinn and Jane Lee, who also have a nice strand of the story, but I do prefer the other supporting characters to them, especially Bragan and the fantastic Lesterson. Come to think of it, I think Robert James appeared in The Mask of Mandragora, because I still remember his name popping up in The Mask of Mandragora. I might be wrong. Don't class that as factual, but that's just a guess. Now, how the Daleks enter the frame of the story is with this capsule with Daleks inside, but from the character's perspective, we can see that the Daleks are very much dead. But yeah, that's where the power strands of the story with Lesterson kicks into gear with episode 2. But yeah, part 1 is fantastic. It is absolutely brilliant, introducing us to some of the characters. The Daleks not getting built up by this point. That's episode 2. So they're left, well, we know they're going to be in the story fairly early. We know that much because they're in episode 1, but not alive at this point because they require power. But their build up really gets going near episode 2. Really love the soundtrack during this sequence. It does reuse some of the music from Dalek's Master Plan. Part 1's a fantastic setup. Immediately all the characters are interesting. I want to know more about them. Lesterson, I would say he's one of the highlights for me in this story. Just the direction he goes within the story, especially when part 4's cliffhanger hits. That's just wonderful. Bragan has a nice part of the story as well. Hensel does as well. Quite a lot of animosity with another character, but I don't want to spoil it. Part 2 really kicks in Lesterson's part of the story now. That murder part with the Examiner is sort of getting unfocused. That kicks back into gear with episode 3. But yeah, the main focusing point now is Lesterson resurrecting and giving power to the Daleks, as he thinks it would be a good thing to resurrect these Daleks for an advantage to Vulcan and its colony. But of course the Doctor would refuse on this as well, and the Doctor and Lesterson really have a go at each other because Lesterson thinks it's the good for the colony. Whereas the Doctor, of course, he's faced the Daleks numerous times. It would be a very bad thing for the colony because the colony will not stand anymore if the Daleks are around because they'll all be dead. By this point, I can really notice a little bit that Troughton was pretty nervous But yeah, he had a lot of pressure, so I can accept it.
What are you going to do about it? Save my breath. Listen.
Exercise is the ton.
Exercise is the tongue. Try it. Look, they think you're the examiner. All of them to destroy the Daleks. What just you worried about? Let's listen.
Oh, there's our main man, Lesterson. I love this character. I believe the actor's name is Robert James. He's appeared in a lot of stuff, like The Avengers, Blake 7. He's done quite a lot.
Anywhere, does it? Unless it's in microprint. I should have been asked first. What was the first thing you noticed when you looked inside that capsule? The Daleks. You were astounded? Yeah. Amazed? Yes. You didn't even give them a glance. Why? Because you've been in there and seen them.
He's doing really good at Troughton.
Where is the third Dalek? I don't know what you're talking about. You opened up the capsule without permission. You found the inner compartment containing three
He
Daleks.
stuttered there.
You took one of them away.
I can tell he's a little nervous in this. But he did have a lot of pressure, so... Because Doctor Who might not have carried on if he didn't put his heart into it.
Don't deny that. And he's nicked the Dalek.
But yeah, he's very serious at Troughton, the second Doctor in this one.
That I discovered.
From when it hits part 2, you can tell that this story is going to be structured like no other Dalek story, as their build-up is very slow moving, but yet tension always kicks in. It goes higher and higher and higher when the story progresses. Other stories like Master Plan, they get into it fairly quickly. Same with Evil the Daleks, they get in it very quickly. Round about part 1, I think, as well. But this one, it's slow moving how they're going to enter the story. They take over Vulcan very slowly and behind all the other characters' back. Very manipulative, sly, cunning, and really do manipulate the characters like Lesterson, who becomes pretty much a puppet during the end for the Daleks. And of course, part 2 has a very memorable cliffhanger, a very good cliffhanger it is.
The thing it does most efficiently is exterminate human beings.
This is a really good cliffhanger.
Destroys them. Without mercy. Without conscience.
It's a very popular cliffhanger, this is. And it actually exists in Surviving Clip, that does, that one of the sequences of that scene. Part 2 is building up how the Daleks are gonna start their plan up, and why I prefer Power to Daleks and stories like Daleks Master Plan and Evil the Daleks is how the Daleks are written. They are very deceitful and sly and cunning and manipulating they are, and that's how they soon, very slowly, with fantastic build-up, take over Vulcan. David Whittaker has seriously written the Daleks fantastic in this episode, so that's why I think it's better than Master Plan and Evil the Daleks, how this story is handled. And that's why it's my favourite Dalek story of all time. They are portrayed so well. Part 2 is brilliant. Part 3, this is where we really focus on the individual characters now, and what part they're going to play in the story, and a little bit more about them, so that's very nice it is. Bragen's character is sort of showing his side a little bit. Lesterson, we can sort of see another thing coming to him and what part he's going to play during episode 5, and it's so fantastic what happens to Lesterson's character, and that's where I think he's a really standout character, and what the character is actually going through, what he's actually done. It's brilliant. Part 3 really focuses on the characters now, like who's done it, like that part of the story. With the Daleks, there's like another Dalek. There was supposed to be 3, but now there's another one being cited for 4. So it's getting very odd now. As I said, the Daleks, how they take over Vulcan is slow, but they use tactics to do it. You know, manipulating characters and Lesterson like that. I've seen some people say they don't like the slow movement of the Daleks taking over, but I disagree. I completely disagree with that. I love this slow moving takeover they do with Vulcan. As in my opinion, the slow build-up to them brings up so much tension and it never calms down. And then when each part hits, the Daleks get better and better and better. They start off deceitful, then they get very mocking and taunting, and then by episode 5 they have all the power, they have everything, and then they're going to make their ultimate move. I think the build-up to them is perfect, and I don't think it could have been done any earlier. I completely disagree when people say that. And this is another reason of why I prefer Power to other Dalek stories. Because the Daleks can do other methods and other tactics to take over in a colony. However, it does lack action like most other Dalek stories, like Dalek's Master Plan, or Evil of the Daleks, Genesis of the Daleks, Dalek Invasion of Earth, you know, the list can go on. But in Master Plan and Evil, they get right into the story and the build-up isn't very tension building like Power, because it does a really slow moving, and then when it hits to episode 5 they have all the power, because each part progresses, the power gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. By episode 3 they demand power, they want it, they're getting hungry for it, and they're really sort of mocking Lesterson for this power that they need, and Lesterson so is striked with fear he will do it. And yeah, pretty much Lesterson is the Dalek's puppet, where they're demanding power and just literally shouting at Lesterson for the power. Episode 4, this is where they mock Lesterson, they do. And then by the end, they have full power. And when they have full power, you can really feel that Vulcan is going to suffer badly, that loads of people are going to die. And that's exactly what really happens. There is so much action and death, and it's really bleak. And yeah, Part 3's cliffhanger is my favourite Doctor Who cliffhanger of all time. It's so striking to the viewer. It's so impacting. And it's really going to build up the Daleks that they are not going to mess around. They're literally taunting and scaring Lesterson that they demand power. They want it to rise up. But as the Daleks were manipulating Lesterson, that they're going to be a help to the colony, but really it's the colony's destruction. If you didn't know, episode 3's cliffhanger is my favourite cliffhanger of all time. I love this cliffhanger, it's so impacting to the story with the Daleks. That gives me chills, that does. Oh, this is where the Daleks seriously build up now, and that is my favourite cliffhanger of all time, episode 3 of Power of the Daleks. Because in episode 3, yeah, that's where they're really deceitful and sly and trick all the other characters, especially Lesterson, who really gets impacted. And this is where he starts to fear the Daleks now, like he's done something wrong. And in part 4, they get even more creepy, the Daleks now. I love this story so much, and I'm so upset it's not existent. Not even a part. Episode 3 is great. And one of my favourite lines of this story is where the Dalek says, "We know how the human mind works." And I find that such a mocking line to Lesterson, I do. As really what the Dalek is saying, but the Dalek knows humanity's weakness, that they're so easy to manipulate. They will eventually get the upper hand. They will require the power very easily from Lesterson, so I find that a very mocking line from one of the Daleks. Part 4, the build-up is right on the top level. You can get no more higher than this. This is where the story is absolutely sensational. The first half, Part 1, Part 2 and Part 3, is absolutely outstanding. Here it just gets even better now. The Daleks feel like they've really taken control of Vulcan now, because they're mass producing now. There are hundreds of Daleks now in the factories, in the capsule now. And now this is where they start debating of what they're going to do to Vulcan. And yeah, of course, they're going to exterminate everyone, because now they have the power to do what they want. And now they sort of start interacting with all different characters now, like Bragan. And now they start mocking everyone now. And so deceitful, say, "I am your servant, I am your assistant," and lines like that. Really deceitful and sly and twisted the Daleks are in this. I love how they take over Vulcan, it's brilliant. They want to get the support of Vulcan to show themselves that they're trustworthy and they're going to be a help to Vulcan, but really they're not, they're pretending to do that. And then they're going to make their ultimate move and kill everyone. It's crazy how they do it. It's just manipulating the entire colony, that they are a trustworthy alien species, but no, they're not. It's incredible. Part 4's cliffhanger is again brilliant, fantastic. Again, another striking cliffhanger for me as well. Again, one of my favourites. The cliffhangers are magnificent. Again, building up the Daleks seriously well. Each part they just grow more in power and slowly taking over Vulcan. There's so much tension in the story. Part 4 is a fantastic part. Again, the Examiner plot is very well done, and yeah, the Daleks are built 100% perfect. Each part, they just get more powerful and feel more of a threat than any other Doctor Who story I've ever experienced. They just feel like such a threat, and Vulcan is gonna get it in the end in episode 6, and in a way they do. And yeah, this is where Lesterson sort of sees the errors of his ways, and then now by this point he is one of the outstanding characters, with the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton, in this story. A marvellous actor, Robert James. And I wish he did more for Doctor Who if it was just Power of the Daleks and the Mask of Mandragora, if he did do that one. I wish he did a lot more. He's a brilliant actor, and I love his side of getting crazy with fear and he can't control himself. Now to part 5. This is where Robert James's character Lesterson really steals the show with Troughton and the Daleks. Really strong highlight for me. How he just can't control himself because he's so full of fear with the Daleks of what he's done, because he's done such a bad thing, but he knows the colony's destruction is by him because he's the one who given the power to the Daleks in the first place. And how he feels completely responsible for the colony's destruction, and he gets so full of fear he doesn't know what to do. The Daleks have their own power source now. It doesn't matter if Lesterson turns off the power, they can store their own power, and he was just used as a puppet, and he breaks down, he goes crazy with fear. He really cannot control himself. Lesterson here steals the show. He really does. He's wonderful, he is. It's my favourite supporting character in this. All the fear he has in him is making him absolutely crazy, he is. And his whole personality changes to be someone devoted to science, and now he becomes crazy with fear. Oh, it's going to play a classic line in a minute from one of the Daleks. Is it? Should be playing that. Again, very well. Oh, there's the line. One of the best lines from a Dalek, that is. And how he interacts with all the characters is completely different. Like, his assistant, which is Janely, for example, completely speaks to Janely with a completely different tone. Like, I don't care what you think about me. He really changes his personality. He's so full of fear. Talks down to Bragan a lot. So much, he's completely changed as a character now, as what he's done. Part 5 now opens up another character's plot. I'm not going to reveal which character because I think it's a slight spoiler. And something you should experience for yourself, but both these strands of the stories then connect to each other for the ultimate showdown, as I like to call it, because it's just so fantastic with episode 6. It's brilliant. And the cliffhanger is marvellous again with the Daleks. They're on the highest possible level you can get with Daleks. They feel like they're going to bring so much destruction to Vulcan. The story really shows you that they have all the power. They have literally right now take over Vulcan, but in a completely different way of manipulating the colony. And now they're going to start their extermination on the colony and take over Vulcan for themselves. It's completely different how they handle it in Evil the Daleks, that does something unique by itself. Like Daleks Master Plan, Dalek Invasion of Earth, the Daleks, completely different, and I gotta say a lot better. Gotta say well done to David Whittaker, he is a wonderful writer. Bragen's well built up, that's working very well, and now the Daleks are working at 100% top form, and those two strands of the stories like tie in together now. Again, episode 5 has a brilliant cliffhanger. This is my second favourite cliffhanger of all time. It's well done, but you know, 4 Daleks is just doing a rotation like that, but still, it's impressive if you don't think about it. It's a very well done cliffhanger. It's like episode 6, the Vulcan's gonna get it. That's another brilliant cliffhanger. A strong positive about Power of the Daleks, it has sensational cliffhangers. The best cliffhangers are the entire show. God, this is really up there in my story rankings. It's every time I watch it, I prefer it even more. And when it hits part 6, wow. You don't feel underwhelmed, you feel overwhelmed. It's the constant action now. So much death, and the story really turns bleak. And you're thinking to yourself, well, how on earth are they going to defeat the Daleks? They are mass producing, there are hundreds of them now. And they're taking over the colony really fast now in episode 6. They just go right into there now. And it just ends up being a really strong favourite Doctor Who episode for me. What happens with all the characters like Lesterson and all that. And when episode 6 finishes, I had that feeling inside my heart that I've just watched one of the best things in my life. And yeah, Power of the Daleks is the best thing I've ever watched. If you can even say watched, because it's just reconstruction. The whole thing is reconstruction, and I still class it as the best ever. What if it was found? Might even go with the War Games, that'd be crazy. Yeah, but I think he'll be on the same lines. Definitely. Each time I experience Power of the Daleks, it gets better and better and better and better. Oh, that was Power of the Daleks. A whopping 6-parter, which is a shame it does not exist at all. Well, yeah. God, this might be up there with the War Games. Seriously, some of the best Doctor Who ever is right here in my hands. Such a shame it doesn't exist. It's my favourite missing episode I want to see recovered. The best Dalek story by, in my opinion, miles. How well the Daleks are written in this. Love the story so much. The reason why I wouldn't rank, say, like another popular Dalek story, the Daleks Master Plan by here, because Marvick Chen is taking most of the on-screen and sort of overshadows the Daleks a little bit, and they're just basically just exterminating, but here it showcases what the Daleks are actually capable of. Very deceitful, manipulating, and they don't just exterminate straight away. It's just how they take over Vulcan is superb. Manipulating Lesterson so they can gain power, and the more they gain power, you can see their strength building up. They start to be very deceitful and sly. Then they turn very mocking and taunting, because they taunt Lesterson, and basically Lesterson is the Daleks' puppets pretty much, and then he's useless after episode 5 because they have all the power and they've been mass producing hundreds of Daleks, and then they do the ultimate takeover. It is really well done, this. Yeah. I have a feeling that it's by the War Games. I have a really strong feeling it is. Right, what about an episode ranking of each of the parts? That is very difficult. No, I have no idea. All the parts are really well done. I love all of them. Power of the Daleks, as I said numerous times, most of my videos I say it in, it is one of the best Doctor Who stories, the best Dalek story of all time, and the biggest missing episode I want to see recovered. If it was recovered, God, I wonder what my reaction would be. Can't get better Doctor Who than this. So to conclude, Power the Dalek is some of the best Doctor Who of all time. It is literally, you can't get better than this. Showcases the Daleks to be the best ever. They are really done seriously well. They're creepy, sly, deceitful, extremely manipulative. The characters, the supporting characters, are extremely well written on what they do in the story. Lesterson is one of my favourite supporting characters in a Doctor Who story. It's wonderful what happens to him in this story and how his character is affected. Same with Bragan. Brilliant character again. Love him. So many brilliant characters and actors. Sensational cliffhangers, fantastic build-up. Second Doctor really gives it his all. Nothing wrong with it, absolutely nothing at all. I give it, well, it's obvious. This is a 10 out of 10 by miles. What a wonderful story. If you haven't experienced Power of the Daleks, then I insist, it is essential. Give this one a listen or watch the reconstruction. You can watch it on Dailymotion if you want to, but for some reason Dailymotion doesn't work for me, it keeps lagging. But at least I converted it, as parts of it on YouTube are copyrighted for some weird reason. But yeah, experience this story somehow, or you could get the reconstruction. I think there's a reconstruction CD version of this as well, so pick that up if you can find it. Or the audio, do whatever you want to. Absolutely fantastic. This is the best of Doctor Who for me. So thanks for watching. Week 2 is concluded. Sorry about the missing episodes overview. It's delayed. I need a hell of a lot of work on it, sorry. So it is delayed to the final video of 2015. So apologies about that. But yeah, enjoy week 3, which is Big Finish Top 10. And for the first video, it is a Big Finish Beginners video. So check that out for Big Finish Beginners. I know it won't intrigue everyone because most of my fans, I've got so many Big Finish. So it's mainly for the audience who want to get into Big Finish but haven't just yet. So more intrigued then. But if you want to still watch it and you got into Big Finish, then do whatever you want to. So I'll see you in that video, and goodbye.